Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and do some more home defense testing. And today we've got a load that was pretty highly requested as we've done the last several home defense style tests. A lot of you guys said that you would like to see them or that this is the shell that you run. So when I saw some on the shelf the other day, I had to pick them up to see what they could actually do, because who knows, they could surprise us as far as the pattern performance that we can get out of them, especially since other import shells have not given us the best results. So we'll see how these do. But as for the load we got today, I picked up some of these. The Fiocchi nickel-plated Exacta buckshot loads. They are a 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 27 pellet load of 4 buck, moving about 1325 feet per second. A bunch of you guys wanted to see us run some Fiocchi stuff for home defense, since a lot of you guys seem to really like it for that purpose. And I had several of you guys say, hey, test some 4 buck Fiocchi as well if you can. So we're gonna see how they do. But here's one of those shells out of the package. You can see the nice nickel-plated shot in there, and they do have a wad, but if you kind of look here, we have a few pellets stacked above where the wad ends. So I'm curious to see if we have a handful of flyers that would be sitting over top of the little wad they have. Either way, definitely going to be a pretty interesting test, since I don't think we've done any 4 buck for home defense scenario testing yet, so we'll see how these can actually perform. But as for the shotgun we're going to run them through, I brought out my good old Remington 870 with the nice and short 18.5 inch completely open cylinder bore choke. So no choke, no constriction, nothing at all, just a straight up 12 gauge Remington 870, about as classic as you can get for a home defense setup. So this should be a pretty interesting combination to try out and see what we can get out of a Fiocchi 4 buck load. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as we usually run it. We're going to shoot 5 shots ranging from 7 to 25 yards, so 7, 10, 15, 20, and 25. That should give us a very good idea on what this kind of combination with these shells is capable of, both in the same room, down a hallway, across the living room, out on the porch, out to the shed, whatever the case would be that you would need to use it for. 7 to 25 should cover it. And of course, all of our shots will be through the chronograph as well, so we can get our velocities. But let's get you guys a view of these targets, take all of our shots, and see how effective these would be on some home intruders. Alright, so let's take a quick peek through our velocities real quick before we look at our target. Boss claim was 1325. However, we only have an 18.5 inch barrel, so it's no surprise at all that we did not see that claim. But we'll run through the numbers and see what we did get. So we had 1230, 1235, 1266, 1253, and 983, which is probably an error. It probably read the wad or something. So I'm just going to delete that one. All of them sounded the same and felt the same, but they gave us an average at 1246 feet per second. So what is that? Roughly 80-ish feet per second under their boss claim. Makes a lot of sense. That's about what I would expect out of them, is 1200 or so through this setup. So looking good here for velocity, but let's go check out our patterns and see how our home intruders fared. Alright, so now let's take a peek at our targets and see how our home invaders actually fared. We'll start here with our 7 and 10 yard papers, and obviously it would be very effective at that kind of range. I mean, that's in the same room or down the hallway or something like that. At 7 yards, we had a 7-inch spread, nice, tight, condensed, even area of shot. We did have a big wad strike down there at the bottom as well. Again, 7 inches of spread. I counted 25 pellet holes, but there very well could have been one in the same hole here or there, or maybe a pellet or two still stuck in the wad at that close of a distance. Either way, at least 25 pellets in a 7-inch spread. Very effective for 4 buck. Moving over to our 10 yard spread, we did open it up a little bit to 12 inches. Again, I counted 25 pellets, but there very well could have been 2 in the same hole, or 1 or 2 still stuck in the wad or something like that. Still a very nice even spread. If you center that shot up, you're not going to be missing any pellets over the shoulders or beside them or anything like that. You're going to keep everything right where it should be. So 7 and 10 yards, looking very very effective, perfectly fine. I would not hesitate to use that at all for my home defense setup. It might not be the 2 or 3 inch, golf ball to baseball size holes that we see in some 12 gauge double aught buck loads, but that is plenty good enough, and it's going to give you a little more breathing room as well. And a 4-buck pellet is still more than good enough as far as energy and penetration capability and all of that. So looking good here. Moving out now to our 15-yard target. We did continue to open it up a little bit. We saw a 20 3/4 inch spread now. It would be a little bit less of a spread if we didn't include that very bottom one down there. That is kind of a little bit of a flyer, but still, we kept a nice even spread. All of them would still be within your average torso size. So still, out to 15 yards, I mean, that's somebody standing out in your driveway or something like that. If you needed to take that shot, that would be plenty effective. So no complaints from me on that. Moving over here to our 20-yard target, we continued to open it up a little bit. As you can see, now we're starting to have a few pellets that might have missed over his shoulder or beside him or something. I know my white spray paint mark there isn't any kind of art gallery painting performance, especially with the wind we have out here today, but it gets the point across, and that is pretty close to your average torso size. We saw a 22.5 inch spread, but still a very even pattern. We really don't have much for flyers at all. You kept everything in a nice circular pattern, and I did measure it several different ways, and it was all like 20, 21, 22 inches on all the farthest points across. So nice even spread, plenty effective out to 20 yards if you needed to take a shot out to a shed or something like that. If for whatever reason you were in that scenario, it would do the job. And finally, here's our 25-yard spread. We had a 30-inch spread of pellets on this pattern. And once again, I counted 25 pellets. There could be 1 or 2 missing over there off the right, since it looks like we kind of maybe drifted a touch to the right. There could have been 2 in the same hole, or there could have been just 2 less pellets in this particular shell. I don't know. Either way, 25 pellets worth of 4-buck flying down range at mid-1200s. You still absolutely covered your intruder and pellets. It does give you a little bit of leeway to work with. You will miss a few pellets around the intruder as well, so be cautious on what's behind him or next to him if for whatever reason you were put in a scenario where you needed to use these at 25 yards. But still, that would be very effective. Overall, this is not at all a bad combination. I wouldn't hesitate to use it in my home defense setup. 4-buck, you get a good number more pellets than you do in something like a double aught, and for up close and personal, the little bit of energy difference you might see is not going to make any kind of drastic effect at all. And at the end of the day, I think these Fiocchi 4-buck loads patterned pretty well for what they are. They may not be quite as screaming tight as what we see out of some defensive specific oriented, flight control double aught buck loads, but I think this is very realistic. Those shells are not super expensive, and they are going to be more than effective. So really, I don't think we can complain too much about these patterns today. That's simply going to do the job just fine. And here's what's left of the wads out of those shells. Every single petal broke off of every single wad. These are some of the base pieces that I was able to find, and it sure does look like these might be designed as breakaway petals. They're not held on by hardly anything other than tiny little points all around them of plastic. It sure does look like they were made to break away, and if they were, then they did exactly what they were supposed to. So very interesting results here, but the loads seem to still do just fine as far as a pattern goes. They gave us some nice even spreads, but I really wasn't expecting to see that out of these wads, that's for sure. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about these results right here? I'd call it some solid performance. Really, there's not much to complain about. For a basic import load of 4-buck, they did exactly what they were supposed to. Everything from the same room all the way out to the shed or somebody that's in the driveway trying to break into your cars or whatever, that shell's going to be perfectly effective. So really, I don't think we have much to complain about here. So for those of you that wanted to see the Fiocchi shells or said that you use them because you like the performance they give you, I would tend to agree here. I definitely would not hesitate to use these in one of my defensive type of setups. They're just going to get the job done. And I can tell you right now, I wouldn't want to be the one staring down the barrel of any one of these shells we fired today, whether I'm in the same room or out across the yard. So I'm liking what we're seeing here. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Fiocchi 4-buck shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combo or a shell that you would use in your home defense type of shot shotgun, or are you still a double-aught guy or a slug guy or anything like that? And what other shells or combos do you want to see us run for a home defense type of test? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.